The Earth is a warm planet with an atmosphere and water that breeds many creatures. It is a good place to live, but this peace may be taken away by terrible uninvited guests from outer space at any time. Hello, everyone. The dinosaurs, the former overlords of the Earth, unfortunately encountered visitors from outer space and were forced to experience tragic things. Welcome to the Global Fields channel. In today's video, we will talk about what caused the extinction of the dinosaurs and what they saw on their last day. The Mesozoic era 252 million years ago, the era called by researchers began when the Earth had just experienced a terrible disaster called the Permian extinction. The scale of this disaster was global. This worst disaster in the biosphere wiped out a total of 81% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. However, after the Permian extinction event, the Earth became a very comfortable place in the universe, and this state lasted for about 200 million years. Around that time, the Earth began to undergo large-scale crustal movement, and the supercontinent Pangaea split into Laurasia and Gondwana. The two continents separated into the continents we are most familiar with, and their outlines are almost the same as they are now. At that time, the Earth was very warm, and there was no ice even in the polar regions. Due to the warm climate, the continent was actually covered with green plants, and various animals lived in dense bushes and watersides. At the end of the Mesozoic era, about 66 million years ago, mammals were already living on the Earth, including primates, flutes, and truans. Next, carnivores also appeared, and snakes lazily basked on the stones. Insects were buzzing around the angiosperms that bloomed in the Cretaceous, but the real celebrities on the African continent at that time were of course other creatures. Fengshan pterosaurs and other pterosaur tombs danced in the sky, and the top predator Chicxulub ruled the ocean world. The Chicxulub was a very beautiful and majestic creature, up to 17 meters in length, but no one wanted to meet them in warm waters. There were many dinosaurs on land, and their species and action strategies were so diverse that they dominated almost all other creatures. In places with dense cycads and ferns, the ankylosaurs, triceratops and hadrosaurs used a large number of plants that were everywhere. They also grew to incredible sizes, and the Tyrannosaurus rex, which had an overwhelming predator status at the time, also hunted everywhere, and sufficient nutrition allowed them to grow to 12 meters long and 3.5 meters high. The crisis brought by the universe, it was spring, maybe April. With warm food, rich and comfortable environment, the rule of dinosaurs seemed to last forever. However, an asteroid with a diameter of 10 kilometers has been moving in space, ready to spoil this happy party. The asteroid entered the Earth's atmosphere at an extremely sharp angle of about 60 degrees, and heated to extremely high temperatures, using its extremely bright light to make the creatures on Earth unable to see their surroundings. A group of Eremo dragons wandered around what is now Texas, USA, looking for food. They were attracted by the bright flash and even forgot to enjoy the fresh grass. They turned their long necks to the sky, curious to know what was going on. As the asteroid hurtled toward the northern tip of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, even female dinosaurs laying giant eggs couldn't take their eyes off the bizarre fireball. Researchers in the Yucatan Peninsula have discovered something that could explain the mass extinction between the Cretaceous and Paleozoic periods. Dinosaurs weren't the only creatures to disappear during this mass extinction, as 18% of terrestrial vertebrate families and 16% of marine animal families were wiped out of the biosphere overall. More than 90% of marine animals and 70% of terrestrial cones became extinct, marking the watershed between the Mesozoic and Cenozoic eras, and the exact cause of this mass extinction has long been unclear. Some theories suggest it was caused by a supernova explosion, while others suggest it was caused by a geomagnetic reversal, where the North and South poles swapped positions. But in the 1970s, geologists Lewis and Walter Alvarez were investigating thin layers of clay covering land in New Zealand, Italy, and Denmark when they unexpectedly discovered unusually high concentrations of pyroclastic metals. The most likely reason for this discovery was that the metal originated from somewhere other than Earth, perhaps on an asteroid. By 1980, researchers published a paper predicting the size of the asteroid that may have wiped out the dinosaurs, but at that time, no crater of similar size had been found in the world. Although this was true, geologists and paleontologists believed that the crater existed, but it had not yet been found. In fact, 2 years before the Alvarez family published their results, geophysicists Antonio Camargo and Glenn Penfield collected aeromagnetic survey data in the Gulf of Mexico for Mexico's national oil company, Petróleos Max. During their investigation, they discovered a shallow crater 180 kilometers in diameter in the northern part of the Yucatan Peninsula. But they were not the first to find traces of an ancient crater. Rob Bartasar had come to a similar conclusion 10 years earlier. Unfortunately, due to the management policy of Pemex, his discovery was not noticed by the academic community. It was not until 1980, when these data were published, that people finally understood that this was actually the correct answer to the whole mystery. Therefore, researchers proposed a hypothesis and obtained evidence to support it. The asteroid Chicxulub, which left a huge crater on our Earth, was the real reason for the extinction of the dinosaurs. But what did the dinosaurs see in their last days? The explosion happened so fast that the dinosaurs didn't even have time to react. When an asteroid that was already moving at 72,000 kilometers per hour hit the Earth, heaven immediately became a terrifying place, and this is natural, because this asteroid with a diameter of 10 kilometers is taller than Mount Everest and its power is absolutely beyond imagination. The collision occurred at a depth of 650 meters in the Gulf of Mexico, and several tons of water were evaporated at the moment of impact. All creatures in the area were caught up in the disaster, including dragons, fish, and turtles. The explosion was 72 megawatts and shook everything around. The explosion was 1.2 million times more powerful than the most powerful man-made nuclear explosion. A group of aeromoths 1,000 kilometers away saw a flaming dome on the horizon that was growing very fast. The fireball looked 55 times bigger than the sun in the sky. The aeromoths began to feel like steaks on a grill, and they would be almost cooked in the next moment. Although it was not absolutely impossible to survive at such a long distance, it was extremely difficult. After the collision, a strong shock wave was immediately generated at the contact point, triggering a super-strong earthquake of magnitude 11. The strongest earthquake ever recorded by humans was a 9.5 magnitude earthquake in Chile in 1960. The earthquake caused by the asteroid was much stronger than that. 10 minutes later, the shock wave reached what is now Betacota State, about 3,000 kilometers from the asteroid impact site. Pterosaurs and many other animals lived on the coast of this beautiful valley. Then, a second shock suddenly occurred in the river, and huge waves 10 to 100 meters high covered the entire valley. All creatures were buried under the broken rocks, and the entire habitat of these creatures was preserved, becoming a valuable history that humans can refer to today. Today, the site is known as the Tanis Paleontological Excavation Site, where scientists study the last minutes of ancient life. The place where the tsunami hit released a lot of heat in an instant, turning the seabed into a large piece of molten rock. Thousands of cubic meters of material were evaporated. The melted mass formed the most famous and largest meteorite crater on Earth. Some of the molten rock flew around in the air, and after a few minutes began to fall from the sky, killing the surviving Aramosaurus. When the Quetzalcoatlus flew over the Pacific coast, their wings were also pierced by the lava. The whole scene was like hell. Although some creatures were not destroyed immediately when the tragedy occurred, the wind speed of 1,000 kilometers per hour did not spare anything. A large tsunami of 300 meters high occurred along the coast, and the land Kongrong had no way to escape from there. The seasonal temperature reached 300 degrees, and large animals in the open area would not have any chance of survival in this purgatory. Small creatures tried to hide underground, while large animals looked for places to hide in the mountains. Even in Mongolia, on the other side of the world, Only a small group of Carangongs hid in caves survived. A series of earthquakes triggered volcanic eruptions across the Earth. Rocks, soil, and volcanic ash fell from the sky, and the entire sky was covered with thick dust. Today's video ends here. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you like this content. If an asteroid is not enough for you, then we want to tell you that his brother hit the Earth in the same year, leaving a crater called Nadir on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, which was discovered in 2022. Although the asteroid is small in size and only about 400 meters long, its fall also made life more difficult for some creatures on Earth, and the chance of survival was reduced to a very low level. After many months or even years, the dark sky cleared up again. However, at this time, the Earth no longer grew dense plants, and the traces of dinosaurs disappeared. This has become an event for other creatures. At some point, humans appeared in this world, and eventually they picked up sticks, started raising dogs, and invented the video website you are watching now. Of course, we are very happy that this happened, because if there was no such evolution, you would not come to our channel, and we love you the most. So as always, it's time to say goodbye for the time being. Let's look forward to the next video together. Bye.